And there we are. Sorry, it would not start on YouTube. I had the stream started on StreamYard, but YouTube wouldn't go. So I was getting a little nervous for a second. But good morning, everyone. And thank you, everyone that is here. I see a lot of familiar faces and new faces. Good morning to Megan and Becca. Crime Circus, thank you. Gabby, always. Christine, I know you were here somewhere. There you are. Good morning, Wayne. Did I miss anybody? If I did, Carmen. How could I forget Carmen? Of all people. Sorry, Carmen. For you that don't know, that's my daughter. So, oopsies. All right. Hey, George. I'm glad. George, he always makes me laugh before the start of my stream, right? Right when I'm getting ready to go. He says some joke and then I can't start it. Anyway, I forgot to introduce myself. I am alternate juror. You guys all know Lauren. And I'm just going to let you go because I don't know what is going on.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm just going to let you go.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a rough couple days. I don't even know how many days this has been since he's been picked up, but obviously it's been rough on me. And I think, last night it just kind of like all of it just kind of came down, and I might get emotional. So
it's you. Whatever you need to do.
Oh, sorry, I didn't think I'd do this.
No, you are fine.
So this whole thing with him missing the tests, right? It was very confusing to me because, when Ty found out there was a warrant and he told me, obviously we were in panic mode. Like, that's terrifying for us and more so for him. And so when, I was asking him questions about it, he's kind of was not all over the place, but it was like, how Ty can talk sometimes, and it's like this and this, and you have to pull the pieces out. It's just the way he communicates. And then, supposedly the pretrial services said another kind of thing. And then there's this article in the paper saying something kind of implying that Ty wasn't telling the truth about things. And so I kind of got, and then I spoke to Kara, Ty's former attorney, and she mentioned that Ty had sent her a text at the time that he found out about the warrant. And so I asked her to send that along, and I read the text and I was like, this is completely consistent with what he was saying. And so that was right off the bat in writing. And I just wanted to make sense of it. So I was going to go into the facility, but I just called them. And I got this really wonderful man on the phone who I figured out the right facility, first of all, because I just knew it was close to his apartment. So I figured out I was right. And then he was wonderfully helpful. And basically he told me if somebody doesn't show up, or, if they aren't able to test for whatever reason, they generally don't have record of them being there. And so I said, well, that's weird, because the pretrial said they called and were told that Ty missed his test because he was late. And then so I asked him, I was like, well, did somebody tell somebody this? And I kind of explained the situation, that he had been arrested because he was violating. And I asked him a little bit about what's considered late. And he said, oh, so if you register on a website, you get, this range of time. You have a key that allows you to check in at a facility, and you could get there on time, but there might be a wait. And even if you've been there for an hour, but you're in line and you're 1 minute past that time, you can't test. It kicks you out of the system, and you have to, set it up again. Which I spoke to Ty about that, and he's like, that happens, and it's happened before. And he didn't believe that that's what was happening, because that's not what he was told when he was there. Okay, so that's kind of my understanding. So I called the facility. I asked them some questions about why somebody would not be able to test. And he said, basically, that's it. If the key expires, you can't. And I said, well, do you have any record of him testing? do you have records of when he did test? And he said, well, let me look. And so he's off looking at stuff for a minute. He goes, so I found these notes and the dates. And he said Ty came in on the 9th of April and could not test. There was no test done. Or there was no receipt for a test, let's say. He came in on the 10th and there was no receipt for a test. So presumably he was late, is my guessing for those two. But the thing is, if he tested once, he had to contact pretrial and say, hey, I need to reschedule for tomorrow. And they had to say, okay. So that means they excused it. It's not a violation if they excuse it.
Right.
Day 2, the 10th, he does it again. He must have contacted pretrial because he went back on the 10th and did take the test.
Okay.
And this is what they're not saying. Pretrial's not bringing up, and the state attorney's not bringing up. So if those things happened, he was in compliance. Now, he probably was late twice.
Right.
But he got excused.
Right.
Is how that should have been handled, and not with a bench warrant and a $3.1 million bond. So I tell the guy, I was like, this guy, he's arrested and has a $3.1 million bond because of this. And the guy spit his drink out. He's like, what? Never heard of such a thing, and here's my name. I'm here these hours if you need anything. So I'm going to go in today and see if I can get that documentation, because, I don't know how this works. I'm not privy to all the rules of pretrial release and whatnot, but I know that Ty had, he messed up over the 4 or 5 years. Of course, there's been problems, but he always calls them. He always checks in. It's obvious that he wasn't trying to avoid the test. He went 3 days in a row. When I saw that, I was like, that's the part that Ty didn't get across to me that would have made this easier for me to understand from the beginning. And the thing that's kind of so upsetting to me is that, Ty, we all know Ty likes to be late. I don't know if he likes it. He doesn't mind it so much.
He just is. Yes.
And I know he's been feeling really frustrated with the restrictions, given that he's not been proven guilty. He's still innocent. They lost, all this stuff. So, it was so much easier for me to blame Ty for being irresponsible and go, well, you messed up, Ty,
Right.
What do you think's going to happen? That's so much easier than the reality that this is just another reminder that they are super after his ass. And I think that's what really, got to me yesterday, because I was planning on interviewing, and I was just like, what can I do? What can I say? And I started to get really paranoid, because I'm like, I don't know what I should be saying if they're listening, And then I just, I don't want to talk about any kind of legal strategies. So that's kind of like, and it just, and I just think the weight of it, there's, you go through the phases of shock and all these things. So I'm just on this emotional roller coaster, and it is just, I'm terrified.
I can only imagine of what I can imagine, if that makes sense to you, because I'm not in your shoes. I know what I felt, because you and I had talked. We did an interview exactly 1 week ago. That night, my phone is blowing up. I get your email, and I immediately just got scared. I was like, in my mind, I'm trying to reason with myself of just, okay, something happened. I was so scared. Like, I knew you weren't going to Key West. You've already said, I'm not going to Key West. I'm never stepping foot there. And I thought, please don't go to Key West. And I was so scared for him to go to Key West. And I still am.
Well, and I think this is part of, because he really did mess up in terms of not doing the protocols to leave the state.
Right.
But I think he was petrified.
And why?
And
who would expect him not to be? But if he was fleeing, if they're going to get him for absconding or whatever, he had a ticket to you. He had a ticket to Florida. He was coming to you. And
with an anklet on.
Yes, and I get that as soon as he left, like, I've seen, you were saying as soon as he left without permission or what have you, he technically was out of compliance, and I understand all that. However, they knew what he was doing. I don't believe that they did not know that he was going to the airport and then he was coming to them. Why they stopped that, I don't know, because now they have to come get him on their dime now, and I'm a little
Well,
worried about him being in a van traveling across country and just staying quiet.
well, here's the thing about that. This is the other thing that's adding to my, you know, fear is I was going to pull up the article because I'm not sure if anybody saw it, but there was one, I think it was yesterday, I don't know, and where Dennis Ward was quoted saying he suspects that Ty will waive extradition. He will be put in shackles and transported in a van across country back to Key West. And I thought, that's mean.
Mhm.
Why do you have to say that?
Yep.
That feels very threatening.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I just feel like it's so obviously personal for them, and it's not allowed to be.
Right.
It's not
Right.
allowed to be.
And
But
you're right on all points there because they've made it obvious it's personal for them.
and when this first happened, I was like, I kept telling Ty, like, this judge messed up. I really think he messed up with this because I didn't know everything. And then I kind of went into okay, I'm going to blame Ty for his mistakes. It's unfortunate, but but now I'm back to, I think they made a very big mistake because this looks spiteful.
Mhm.
It doesn't look like any kind of attempt for justice, or he wasn't even his bondsman. I talked to his bondsman probably way too many times, and he's like, this is ridiculous. He says, I'm his bondsman. I never saw him as a flight risk. If I call him, he picks up the phone. You pick up the phone.
Right.
We've never had an issue. He excuse me, he went to
No, you're fine.
trial. He went to trial. He sat there. He sat there when the jury was could have cut. You're guilty, and he wasn't
Mhm.
running.
No. And
So
he's had 5 years to run
yeah,
if he wanted to.
so yeah, somewhere in there.
So why would he do it now? And part of me then, and because I said it on Monday stream, um, part of me wonders if this is not the best thing to happen to him to maybe force him to get attorneys back on this, because I think he did his work and I really hope he understands that. You did what you needed to do. You got eyes on this. You've got everybody looking at it now. And now they're exposed.
Well, I think you're right about that, and believe me, I've had my moments of this is a blessing in disguise, and I think you kind of have to go there for a minute just so you don't freak out. Uh,
Absolutely.
so I can't tell. It's like I'm just trying to navigate my own emotions, um, but I think you're right. I mean, and as soon as before Ty left, and when we were talking about what may or may not happen, he's like, well, obviously I can't do this. I can't go to trial if I'm in jail, being pro se. Like,
Right.
it's an uphill battle. It's like he understands this, so everybody knows
Good.
he does know this.
Good. Because it would be impossible.
Now there's a problem though, because um, even if he gets representation, there's no money. And I was asking Kara, I mean, what do people do who can't get a public defender, but they can't afford a lawyer? It's
Right.
got to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know. I because unless they agreed to, some sort of installment plan or whatever. But I know that these bills add up fast. I know they do. Um, I know, Steve was kind of on justice as a process was kind of, $200,000. I didn't think that was out of the ballpark because it's a trial. There's a lot to do. Um, trying, I'm trying to not
Well,
get myself in trouble here. I have some experience being in a lawsuit, not criminal, so I don't have that experience. I have experience. I have been in a lawsuit. I can't talk about it, but I know how fast those bills add up, and we weren't at anywhere. We were for 4 years. We fought it. I know where we were, and it was nothing like this.
well, let me just give you an outside example of my experience prior to this. My divorce from my first husband, $3 million.
Yeah, it just takes zero time to add up. So when he said 200,000, I thought that's that's it was a reasonable number to me just because of what I had seen, what I've been through. And I that wasn't out of the realm of possibility for me. I know
Well,
he thought it was really high,
well, I
but
think I think it was. I think as an attorney, um, a good attorney, an honest attorney, they'll give you the outlier number. Like it could
mhm,
be as much as boom.
yep,
That doesn't mean that's what she was going to charge.
correct. Um, and our
Don't get married,
attorney,
Carmen. Don't
yeah,
get married.
Carmen.
Not worth it. You can love somebody to death, and you don't have to have a paper to prove it.
Like, um,
And yes,
Carmen.
Christine, I know that you did start that fundraiser page for Ty. That was very kind of you, and we'll definitely
I
share
think
that.
Gabby was going to post the link somewhere in here.
Mhm.
So Christine, Gabby, is going to do that. Let me put this over here. Um, and also, like the attorney that we have, he's really honest with us about where we were. This is going to, you can win this or you're not going to win this. You can minimize or you can, or we can just go but there's no guarantees. And this is what you're kind of looking at money wise. Cause and it does cost to have a good lawyer. It
It does.
does.
And most of these things, especially with lawsuits, it really comes down to your odds, because like when the judge imposed the gag order on me, I believe I could have fought that. I think that was
I
a,
think so. You
you
were
know,
not involved at all.
no,
You were not there. You were not in the state. You were not talking to Ty at the time of the incident. There's nothing there to tie you to anything, to be a witness to what?
that was just that was when the threats began. That was Colleen Dunn's crap. She constantly was trying to imply that I be called as a witness, as that was some kind of threat to me. You know, and I feel like they're doing the same thing with this renewed gag order, motion for a gag order to bring me up again. It's why are you bringing me up?
Yep. And I think too, when you were talking, that was an emergency motion that nothing has been done with it. So the judge clearly did not see that as an emergency. However, now they had this way to silence him.
Mhm.
Now he's silent.
But
Except,
like,
for us trying to still talk about it and keep it out here, he cannot.
I don't understand though. I mean, I get that, but doesn't that also come with a lot of publicity and a lot of people who can talk? You
I
know,
would think so, but I mean, they're not real smart.
I that's the thing. I think they made a big mistake here. I mean, this is horrible. And by the way, I haven't heard from Ty. I watched him in court yesterday morning, but I hadn't heard from him since the day before in the afternoon. So that's probably also
Right.
that weighs on me.
Yeah.
I haven't had time to look at the dockets and stuff this morning, but I've not heard from him.
It-
Um,
Who was the attorney that he was speaking to yesterday?
so that's a court attorney, is my understanding, because there's a case in front of that, and she's just there for so the the inmates come in, she kind of says, do you understand what's going on? Just does a quick thing. Do you want to, because they have a right to waive right then and there, or they can ask for, a hearing. And the judge didn't want much talking going on, but she was pretty good. I like that attorney. She really worked with the people, the few people I saw, as best she could in a short amount of time that the judge would allow. And I really liked the way she responded to Ty, because he was telling her, look, I couldn't hear everything. We couldn't hear everything he was saying, but it's like, I was going back and they should have just let me go back. And she's like, I could tell, she's like, let me give you some advice. Take the hearing. And he's like, no, I need to go back because one, like, he doesn't want to look like he's trying to stay away because he was on his way there.
Right.
There was
I do wonder if he would have fought it, if he would have been successful or.
No, I don't think so, because
you don't.
This was doesn't tied to the other case. It's a whole new charge in Oregon. And yeah, he was
okay.
So at the airport with a warrant looking, I don't think he would have won that.
So it is a new charge.
Yes.
Because we were wondering when Carmen and I were talking about it, we were texting that night. And I'm like, $3.1 million. And she said, this is a violation, not a new charge. And we were wondering how that got on there.
So that's different. So the bond. So I don't know if Monroe County is going to have a new charge. The charge is in Oregon that he went to court for.
Okay.
It's my understanding.
And that was for violating.
For being a fugitive, because he was a fugitive.
That's crazy. I know technically he was a fugitive, but it's such a harsh word.
But he was technically a fugitive just by definition because, and this is what one of his attorneys told me, and the bondsman, once the bond's been revoked, you're no longer under pretrial detention. You're not pretrial. You are a fugitive until you're picked up.
But, okay, so you talked to his bondsman. His bond's been revoked. Does his bondsman know before he gets picked up that his bond has been revoked? Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, he knew. He called me as soon as he found out there was a warrant issued. He called me and was like, "What the fuck?" And and he's like, "This is bullshit." He's great. The bondsman's great. He's like, I got to call Ty. So I made sure he talked to Ty, and he's told Ty what you need to do. And this is this guy's job. This is what we paid him money for, right? He says, what you need to do is okay. So in Ty's brain, he only hears part of this. He hears, get on a plane.
He's like, okay, I will.
He didn't hear the part where send me your itinerary so I can let the state attorney's office know I'm meeting you at the airport. I'm going to hand deliver you to the jail to self-surrender so they don't come after you. Because once he's engaged, and especially if he's with Ty, and he was willing to come out to Oregon and travel with him, they can't touch him.
Okay.
So
I wish he would have waited then.
He just needed
to tell Gabby.
He just needed to tell him. And but he didn't realize that, but that's how it should have gone. That's how, like, under normal circumstances, if there's a warrant not for your arrest, there's a bond, you contact your bondsman navigates the situation,
right,
so that they don't pick you up in the middle of the night or whatever. So his attorneys think that there is and it might be too late because I haven't heard from Ty, so it might be even too late for this. But if he has, so what they said in court, the judge said that there was rescheduling. So he has 2 weeks. He'll have another hearing in 2 weeks. The Florida State has 2 weeks to come get Ty, and if they don't come get him in that 2 weeks, he gets released.
Okay, and what happens if he gets released? Is he off his ankle monitors? He off everything? Or he has to go back to that?
There's still a warrant for his arrest. So I don't know how this is a loop. Like, he gets released, he walks outside, they arrest him, and I don't...
It's like you're right. It's a never-ending circle. Like,
I don't think they would arrest him right away, but he would... if that were to happen, that would and he could call his bondsman, he might be able to avoid, this happening again. I think they're gonna come get him. But the thing is that that's expensive for Monroe County,
Mhm.
where self-surrendering is a lot less money for them.
Yep.
So we think there is a chance that a logical mind would think, if you wrote a motion to the judge and said, look, he was trying to self-surrender. We know he messed up, but it is going to be a lot less problem for the county if we can have the bondsman go meet him at our expense, bring him back, deliver him. It'll be quick and easy. And great minds think, hey, there's a chance that this would work. But when you know that all they want is him shackled and put in that van and to suffer the cross-country trip so he can't file motions or say anything and be humiliated, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Now, I hope I'm wrong, but there's no more optimism in me.
I don't blame you.
There's none. And it's terrifying. That's like,
It is, and like I said, I can only imagine up to a point because I just know how I felt, and then I knew you were times 100 on feeling that way. And I don't know. I was downloading all the stuff today in case they decide to take everything down off of seal everything or whatever. So I was kind of going over and looking at the text messages and all that stuff that you guys had in your uh, civil suit, and it's insane. I was reading it going, this is insane. How is nobody seeing this? That just the flippant attitude that they have. And and some of it's redacted, so I can't see it. Pictures isn't even available. I can't get it at all because it's not been
his
redacted.
deposition.
Um, I think so because it says it's waiting for redactions, so it's not available at all. Um, but just I haven't had time to just really go through it. But just the stuff that I was, like I said, the text messages, I was very curious about the emails. It is so clear what they're doing. It's
You
insane
know,
to me.
when we got that, it was, I mean, I I was flabbergasted, especially when it comes to the whole thing with the jailhouse snitch. How obvious it was that that was completely manufactured.
Yeah, when he said, "Yeah, I'm calling the feds to, get them to back down on you." Okay. Well, if they don't give me out, I need money. Okay. Here's a record of money. Like, this is not hard to follow. And he signed a piece of paper. Like, I know what everything that was in there. I was just going through it and I was shocked. I know, and you guys have even told me and we've talked about it.
It's different when you see it. It's different,
It's
especially,
different.
you know, I don't know how Ty comes across to everybody else, but he's a big talker. And I don't think that people don't believe him when he talks. I think he comes across genuine, but sometimes he blows things up, I feel. And so sometimes I wonder if people are like, oh, he's exaggerating. But when you read this stuff, it's not. I mean, I guess
No.
I feel like that even with me because of the way people respond to me when I've told them about this case. And I get this look like, mm-hmm,
Mhm. Me.
mm-hmm,
Yep.
mm-hmm.
I know exactly what you're talking about, uh, because I've even told people, "I'm going to tell you about something, and I know I'm going to sound crazy." Like, I know I'm going to sound like every other person that says I didn't do it, and the state is after me, and I know I'm going to sound that way. But believe me, and what I'm going to tell you is going to sound very conspiracy theory, and it's going to sound like a movie, and it's going to sound unbelievable. But it's there. And he is not the only person it's happened to. That's the sad part about it.
It can't be. They're pretty well. I like to say they're obviously well practiced at this kind of stuff, but they're not very good at it.
No,
I
they're
mean,
not.
if they wanted to frame him, they could have done such a better job.
Absolutely. At least put some DNA in there.
I hate to say that, but I mean, because it's again terrifying. But I mean, and that's one of the silver linings on this whole situation. And I really have to thank everybody who's looking at this and supporting Ty. Is like, honestly, I was alone in this, and even when Ty and I's relationship was strained in and out of all this. I mean, literally alone with this information and nobody to talk to other than my kids, who are
Right.
kids, because nobody could understand. I mean,
Right.
no, you couldn't understand. And I don't blame them. It's not that they're stupid. It's just, I think all the people looking, there are people who look at trials. There are the people who have experience in this realm and know that it's happened before and have their own personal experiences with the corruption and legal system and all the problems. So it's been very helpful just on a personal level to be able to talk to
Right.
people and talk through things because, Ty's attorneys are great and I had a very good relationship with them and we talked very well, but they didn't represent me,
Right.
and
Right.
so their perspective was always Ty's best interest and very much tried to talk in that realm, even though it was hard because I was paying them, first of all, and they like me and we communicated very well. So, it was hard to separate Ty's interest and mine
Right.
at times, but and I don't blame them. That's that. So, I mean, I had Ty to talk to when we were talking, and then, no, nobody else really. Just people go, I don't know what to say.
Well, and I think people too are just going, well, is this true? Or is she just saying it because it's her husband and she doesn't want to believe that he could do something like this. And so, she's blind and she can't see the facts. And that's my thing. I didn't know any facts. I watched the trial, didn't see there's nothing there to connect to him. And so when people say he's guilty, my question back is, give me something that was presented in court as evidence, not something you read somewhere, not something you heard, not something outside of that, because that's the facts he is judged on, are the facts that are presented in court. So tell me what was in that trial that said he's guilty. Not that you don't like him, not that he wasted the court's time because he asked too many questions or he didn't have the video up or he didn't have this, whatever. None of that. Give me something. And I've yet to see somebody say anything, well, the defense did, or the state said this, and I just couldn't get past that. It really came down to, they want to believe Travis or they want to believe Ty. Which one of these two do you want to believe? Well, which one is using a word he never used in his entire life and none of us knew what it meant? I was so happy when Ty's like, I don't know what that means, because I'm sitting there going, I've never heard that word and I'm sorry. He never had either until Mansfield gave it to him. So he can vacillate or whatever that stupid word is all he wants. But for me, I'm going, this guy's not smart. I don't, not trying to be mean. I was just, but
No, and unfortunately, I mean, he isn't, and I'm not trying to be rude in saying that, but it's kind of obvious through his interview that, and he admits, like, he has brain issues, and he has I can never say it right, post traumatic
oh,
stress.
PTSD.
I can't
Yes.
say those in the right order ever. I mean, I think it's a reality that it's okay to talk about. It's like if somebody's a little bit easily confused or,
Mm-hmm.
manipulated. That's a thing, it's
Yeah,
okay. And I think Travis comes across that way.
he
Maybe
does.
less so at the hearing, maybe less so. I don't know. But just knowing the whole situations, watching his interviews thousands of times or whatever I've done, you know, I think it's not a jump to say he never used that word before.
Yeah. I don't think anybody except Mansfield had used that word before
I use
in
the
that
word.
courtroom. Okay, well,
I
you're
know the
also
word.
smart. But I had never heard it. Like, and we were all sitting there like, what did he say? What does this mean? And then when Ty said that, can you tell me what that word means? Because I have,
I
where'd
thought
you learn that? It was
pretty
hilarious.
funny. That was fun.
Yes. Because he didn't know what to say. If he was truthful, he would have said, Mansfield told me.
Do you think that I don't know if most people caught on to what Ty was doing there. Like, you obviously did, but I wonder if the jury picked up on why he was asking that. Like they got what
Yeah.
he was trying
You
to do
didn't know
there.
that word. Right.
Yeah.
You don't know that word. And so, and you and I had this conversation last time about how they, and there was a person in Steve's chat Sunday. I was kind of watching the chat Sunday
Bring that up.
during Steve's.
Or, no, it wasn't Sunday. It was on Tuesday. I was going to bring something up in chats, but go ahead.
But there was a person in there that was arguing about Ty being on drugs. And you and I had talked about that because you said, what makes you think that Ty was on drugs? And I said, they just portrayed him that he was on drugs. And Travis had made, I couldn't remember if it was Travis said he did it all or Ty did it all, but there was a mention of drugs, and that's why they had to go get more because somebody had used them all. But then when you were like, well, he's not a drug addict, and then she's like, well, he only has one tooth, and I thought, well, okay, so we all kind of went to that too because he only had one tooth. But he traveled. We talked about that with Ty, about him traveling all over the place. I know people that haven't had the best dental care. Their teeth aren't great, but they're not on drugs.
Yeah, some people get their teeth knocked out of their head.
There's that too. So she was saying this, and I'm just like, woman, I'm not coming into this chat because I don't have time, but I'm watching. I had typed a couple of things out, and I thought, okay, Lauren's there. Lauren will handle this. But I thought and she was one I was talking about. Just give me something concrete. You don't have it.
I mean, I get that. Because I always forget that he didn't have teeth. Because that's not how I know him, right? So I can see how that one would see, oh, he probably was a habitual drug user, and that's why he lost his teeth, especially given the people he was around. I get that.
Yeah, that's an easy connection to make, but it doesn't make it true.
Correct. And even if it was true, it doesn't make him a murderer.
True.
So it's
like you can't connect the dots that way. And if it was true, and Travis is also there, why do you believe Travis and you don't believe Ty? Because Travis got a deal? And so, like, I don't understand why people are like, oh, I believe Travis. I don't believe him. And I was like, well, why not?
I think it goes down to this. And this is a problem because, before I go there, it was during Ty's, Steve was streaming Ty's hearing. I think it was in that chat. And there was a person in there who was just like trying to school us all on Ty's violation. No, he missed. And he was going, I could tell by the words he was using, he was going by the article that would just come out. And I was, arguing with him or explaining to him something. And he's like, well, that's not what the article said. And I was like, I said, yes, you're going by an article. And he's like, well, where are you getting he didn't know who I was. He's like, where are you getting your information from? I was like, well, I'm his wife. And he was like,
I saw that.
And he was like, oh, but the thing is that so many people, if you put it in writing or it's the state attorney saying it, it is true.
Yep.
And then Becca, lovely Becca, she's like, yeah, they also are saying he's a murderer. So,
and that's it. It's like, he's so dangerous. He's so dangerous to the community that we have to keep him contained even in his apartment. But yet he supposedly violated way back here on April 10th. And we didn't do anything about it until April 30th or May 1st. Depends on which date you see, because you can't see the warrant because it's sealed. And
here's the other thing. So they violated him the day after he actually did test. That was the other part of that. So it's like, he did not get the email. So Ty read me, because Ty said he never got an email saying he was not compliant. And I was like, Ty, look at please go through your emails. I know I'm sounding judgy here, but I do know he has a lot of emails right now. A lot of
Right.
people,
Right.
a lot of moving parts.
Absolutely.
So I was like, you have to go search, because I do this. Like I get, I'm 52, almost 53, and my brain's not always sharp. I search things all the time to confirm things. And so I was like, you have to just go look. So I was on the phone with him. He's like, oh, here it is. And he read me the email. And he said, April 11th. And they say, you didn't take the test. I called this facility. They told me you couldn't take the test because you were late 2 days in a row. This is unavoidable. You're not compliant. This is after they sent him a third day, let him go to take the test, and he did. How is that not compliant?
Well, I don't know. Carmen says technically that happens. It's normally the next day they will violate it. And also, damn, you're 52. Good for you.
I'm 53. I'm going to take the 53, so it makes me look even better somehow.
Better. We're not that far apart in age, so I knew we were close. But
it's so weird being half a century old. It's so weird.
I'm just sitting right there. I'm just been. My birthday's in July, so
When's your birthday?
July 27th.
Oh, I'm the 23rd.
So you're a Leo like me?
I knew I was going to say, are you a Leo when we were talking about our personalities? Mm-hmm. I was like, I so recognize that.
Yeah, Leos are
Leo or Scorpio, because I was Scorpio rising, and it makes me really weird.
Well, I know that my Leo makes me really stubborn and hard-headed, and a lot of things that drive my husband, who's a Gemini, which I give him crap because, like, I don't know which one's coming home. Which twin of yours is coming through the door, because it drives me nuts. So, but I know I have things that drive him nuts, and so it all works out. We're all even though he would probably disagree. But whatever. I'm not here to talk about him.
Good old Scorpios and Tauruses. Yeah. All my good friends are Tauruses.
Oh, Carmen. Yes, Carmen. Gabby. Well, all right. Well, now that we all know each other's horoscope or signs.
I's a Leo too, so.
I's a Leo. Oh, yeah. I'm sure that's interesting.
You think that's why we have problems?
Well, I wasn't going to say it. But just knowing from my own experience how hard-headed and stubborn and things that I can be, having two of us together in a situation where we could argue.
Oh, we blow up. And it's always stupid shit. It is always stupid. I don't think we've ever fought over anything serious ever, but our fights are very serious.
I am with you. I understand it 100%. Because somebody, my daughter-in-law and son had their baby shower this past weekend, and one of two of my old coworkers were there, and we stayed after and had dinner and stuff with them, and they for some reason asked Todd and I, like, do you guys ever fight? It was like, yes, because that's what people do. And well, what do you fight about? And I was like, stupid stuff. And then we get mad about the stuff because I shut down. Once I'm done, once I've said everything I need to say, I'm not going to repeat myself, and then I'm just done. and then he's like, no, I want to keep talking. And I say, I physically cannot talk to you anymore. My mouth won't open. My brain will not allow it. You have to leave me alone because you're making it worse, and the time is getting longer before I'm going to be able to speak to you again. And so those are the dumb things then we are fighting about. Whatever it was, I don't know, because now he's mad because I'm not talking, and I want him to stop talking so that I can. It's kind of like I need to reset, and it's just stupid. So I understand exactly what you guys are doing. If he was a Leo, I would understand it more, but I'm telling you, I understand it pretty good, pretty well.
Yeah, and it's really sad too, because with him and I's relationship now, and he's in jail, and the reality of that really hit him once he was in jail,
I'm
as it
sure.
would. And in all, I'm sure in his head, all the fights, all the stuff are so stupid, compared to what he's going through, and how much
Yep.
time we've wasted, and that makes it very sad, that,
Mhm.
and I really feel like I do sound like I've lost all optimism. Like, I hope I'm wrong with him. I just think he's going to be in jail till trial.
I do too. I do
Um,
too.
you know, it took a miracle for him to get out on bond the first time. I don't see it.
I because you don't have like what you were explaining when I asked you how he even got a bond, because that's not normal for somebody with his charges to be able to do that. And then you said, well, they didn't want what you guys were wanting to come. They didn't want that hearing. They didn't want to have to look at that. So they're like, here, dangle this over here. We'll let you go, give you a bond. Of course, that's better.
Oh, I
But
want to go back
they
to what
knew.
Carmen said about it's normal to violate the day after. I get that, but the thing is, he was obviously trying to comply.
Right.
I get it if, like, yeah, he didn't show up, or he didn't test, and yes, he gets violated. I understand how that would work, like, in a progression, but I don't understand how it's like, okay, there is a problem. He tried to fix the problem. He fixed the problem, and then they violate. I mean, I get technically he did, but it just seems like the 3 days in a row going there says to me he was compliant.
Right.
He was doing what was asked.
But I think they were looking, like Steve said, the judge said, it's on my desk. The ink is dry. I think they were just waiting
Well, they
for
were,
that
and I think, and so this
technicality.
is what it feels like to me, especially because I was at Ty's apartment when pretrial guy called. They spoke on speakerphone over the anklet battery charger dying, and it felt to me that he was, because he sounded very uncomfortable in his anger, and very inappropriate in the way he was talking to Ty.
The
Um,
pretrial guy did.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, because usually when people are overly emotional about something, there's something that they're not comfortable with. It's not that he's mad at Ty.
Right.
He deals with tons of people who violate and
Right.
do stupid shit. Like,
Right.
that's his
Yep.
job. He's not mad at Ty because it's monitored. I think he was mad that he had to do what he was doing, and I think he was told. You, and if he farts wrong, violate,
Absolutely. Yep.
because this guy was cool to Ty
What did
previously.
she say? I'm not saying it right, but it happens. We violated someone for being late because their car broke down. We even went to see, and the car really was on the side of the road. They walked there,
But
but they were late.
yeah,
Did
technically late, so it wasn't excused. Okay. The other thing is, when Ty has had issues before, there's a hearing. It usually goes to a hearing where Ty can explain to the judge what happened. That's what's happened throughout the 5 years or so that his hello, Steve.
Hey, Steve, how are you? Thank you for being here.
And that's why I'm like, it's weird, because this was, and I know the judge warned him, and he has no obligation to do for a hearing, obviously. It's just when there's so much at stake, and I think this is the one thing good that Judge Jones did, is he really did err on the side of caution when it came to these issues with Ty. And he probably was too lenient with Ty, honestly. Ty probably should have had his hand slapped a little bit sooner for some things. I don't want that to happen, but I could see how he could have. And Judge Jones was like, he didn't want the publicity of rearresting Ty. He didn't want the circus that's going to come with this.
I agree with you. He was walking himself out the door towards the end of that trial, and when he had the chance to run, he did. He
I wonder if he wasn't told to step down. I think it feels to me, because I've been in this for so long, and this is definitely a new push here. And obviously the trial was humiliating for them. And so I can see that it could come from that, but it feels like there's a greater force right now that is like, win this at all costs. This guy goes down.
Well, she says it in her, which one of, I don't remember if it was Colleen or Phelps, in one of the stupid text messages I read, I about punched my computer screen because, and then she's like, and Todd Tucker goes down. Like, really?
Can you believe that?
Really? That's where you're at. You've got all this crap up here of going, well, somebody doesn't want to talk, and this person doesn't want to talk, and who's Belinda?
So, so I'm actually I'm going to start doing some streams and some pre-recorded videos about the case, some shorter videos to make sense of it and all the characters, as long as I don't get a gag order imposed. So I need to get on that. But so Belinda was hanging out with Matt and Todd and Roosevelt, Washington, in Matt's trailer when this all happened.
Okay, because I kept seeing her name. We need to talk to her, but then I never saw where there wasn't anything else about like, well, will we talk to her? And so I thought, well, that's a name I've
Yeah,
must have missed, or I
they
just haven't heard.
they went to interview her in jail. Oh, but something went wrong with the body cam.
Of course. And
do you know why they said Ty bites the dust? Do you know what that was in reference to?
no, because there was redacted stuff. So
it was and I could be wrong, but it was when they, I think this was right after the DNA came back, and they had to scramble because what their story wasn't matching what the DNA said. And so they had Rory and Travis give new proffers that pointed to Ty.
Okay.
And so they were like, yeah. And so who says that? I mean, I know cops say things, right? I mean, we're all human. I don't think cops are perfect, but why is it, yay, he bites the dust? Why? Yeah. That's not a justice thing. That's not a finding truth thing.
No, that's
you just made up a bunch of shit to fuck this guy thing.
And you're happy about it.
You're happy about it.
That's the part that I was going, you guys are happy about this, and you don't have anything, and you can tell just by the snippets you get. And I, like I said, I haven't had a lot of time to spend on them, but I was shocked reading through the stuff of what in the world.
The thing is I went through everything in the discovery. How many times in an interview?
Well,
yeah, I mean, yeah,
that's very true.
And Penny Phelps, in my humble opinion, Penny Phelps thought she was God. I mean, she was on one major fucking power trip, and honestly, was not very liked because of it. There was a lot of people who actually, like Kara, Ty's attorney, is a hero in Key West because she played a part in getting Penny fired. That was like a goodbye, for a lot of people, like good riddance.
Well, good. Maybe things have changed.
They have. And so here's the other thing is that because of this case, it already has it's made changes down there. Like the jail staff, there's people from the jail who tell Kara, like, oh, it's like they call it, it's a nickname about how things changed after Kara brought to light the things that were happening in the jail, in the courts. I mean, they had to change their protocols. They had all kinds of things changed because they were just doing what they wanted, walking in, moving people, not following any kind of protocols, talking to people without their attorneys, just
crazy stuff.
Yeah, stuff that doesn't, there's reasons, there's rules to not
supposed to do that. Yes. Yes.
That's what I was going to say about how many videos that the conversation turned to some confusion about why. Yeah, the only problem, Megan, with the Todd, he does vacillate. So, but it's his story did vacillate, and you could tell it was the cops were influencing that vacillation, because the night of the crime, I think he was though high, clear. Like he told what happened. The next
Right.
day he gets interviewed by Pitcher, and you can tell Pitcher's already had conversations with him, and some things change. So and that's before anybody even knows who Tyrone is. So that's sus. Like, why are you influencing a witness? And that's so many things hit me, like when I was reading through or seeing these videos. I'm like, why is he manipulating this person's recollections? And I'm like, there's something they don't want out there. The cops there's something, and it had nothing to do with Ty that they were
Right.
covering.
Right. But he's just going to be the fall guy. And because it's so weird, because that's why I thought, well, I'm going to pull up his stuff and he's going to have a record this long and he's going to have run in after run in with Phelps or Pitcher or whoever. And they're just going to be like, we're done dealing with him. But there's not there.
And Megan, I agree. It does vacillate, but in ways that don't matter. I agree, but it's like, it makes him seem a little less trustworthy. But it's clear what happened. It's clear, and so Todd was one of the first interviews that I watched, and we didn't get all the interviews at first. So I would get clips, and then we'd get to some discovery, and I'd find something new, and like, oh, this is why that wasn't included. Because there's points where he's like, I'm not going to say it was Ty. You could ask me a million times. I'm not going to say it was Ty. Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen this. They interviewed a guy in jail who like Naeem Jackson, said that somebody told him some things. Rory, he was cellmate or in proximity to Rory, and Rory had told him things about the crime, about his involvement. So they interviewed this guy, Robert Nevius, and he's talking about things that Rory said, right? And so it's not, then he says something about like, I really don't think it was this other guy, because he was in a dorm and he heard Travis yelling to Rory, you killed that guy over crack, you son of a bitch. And so the entire dorm heard this. And Robert tells the cop, his Pitcher, this is what I heard. And Rory told me he did this and this and this. And he says, I really don't think that that one guy is involved. Video stops. Why? Paula, I really don't think it was Ty. I think it was the other guy. Clip.
I printed out her perpetual testimony or deposition, whatever that's called. I printed that out because I downloaded everything, but I'm better at having stuff in my hands to look at and read than I am on screen a lot, probably because of my age. But I haven't read through that yet. I listened to it, and I think maybe Ty had said they weren't allowed to bring it up because Paula wasn't there. And I know it's minor, but it wasn't minor to me about her hearing a car start up. And because I'm like, if you're a getaway driver, why do you turn your car off? No getaway driver turns the car off. If you're sitting there waiting for somebody that's going to be in, out, quick, back, and you got to go, you don't want to have to worry about maybe that's the time your car doesn't start. It just didn't make any sense to me. It made more sense to me because Travis got out of the truck. He turned his truck off. And him and Roy went and did the thing. Then him and Roy run back to the truck and get in the truck and go. But
I actually want to do an in-depth discussion of what happened there, because
okay, all right, I gotta see it.
If you're insane and you watch that very difficult to see video, a million times. You see things.
Oh.
No, I mean,
We were talking about that last week about there's stuff that's not there now in the videos, right? That were like the cars or something that was back
oh
in
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. That's another aspect too, which is probably not worth. It's so nobody will ever look at it that closely that I
but
couldn't probably even show it over video. So I kind of have to forget that. I know it's real, but maybe I can. Maybe I can show it. I'm gonna see what I can do to put something together, visuals. But in terms of the truck and the people leaving, I mean, it's very obvious that first of all, the truck. This I don't know if I brought this up. I probably did before because I feel vindicated. Um, I told Ty a million times, and I told everybody because I watched the video and I know every second, I know every flicker of light that happens in that video. And my conclusion was that you can see the truck pull up and you can see it pull away. You could see two people get out, the truck pulls away. Now, where does it go? I don't know. It could be just down the block, which I think it was. I think there's a third person involved, and I think Travis and Rory got out. That person probably drove down to because Travis kept saying he pulled up to the stop sign at the corner of 2nd Street and Laurel. Which if he did, there's no way he saw anybody. If he was in the truck and he pulled up there, there's no way he saw anybody running with a backpack towards him. It's a good distance. I mean, and it's dark.
I say, and it's dark.
Yeah. Anyway, so then you see Travis runs out. Does he get back in the truck? Maybe this truck's sitting there, but Rory doesn't get in that truck again. He comes out minutes later. And I think Travis probably did get back in the truck because the timing is he went back to the warehouse, obviously, because we see him walking from the warehouse towards Tom Thumb at the time that Rory was leaving the crime and meeting him at Tom Thumb. And I think they had a plan to, if anything happened, that they would meet up at Tom Thumb to get to, as an alibi, that they would both be on camera at the time of the crime.
Right.
Which they were, but we don't have any record of that.
I think was it ever said what happened to the CCTV cameras on the street by the treehouse and that were behind the CVS? When Todd was being questioned by Pitcher, they were discussed. Were they destroyed?
Yes, I believe they were destroyed because we got, so a few things were said. One of the things when we first got Discovery, we got all these videos from, okay, you know, like when you walk into CVS's, the door opens, there's a camera there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's one, like the ones we have, it's the parking lot right outside the front door. But as you walk in, then there's bright light and you can see people's faces. Every CVS has. So we got all these pictures and videos. It was the wrong day. They downloaded the wrong day.
Which is convenient.
But then, like, when we asked about the Tom Thumb video, they said the same thing, that they went back and somebody had collected the wrong day. So I think, like, there were so many kind of like, oh, no, well, who did it? Oh, we don't know. Here's the thing I do know is that on body-worn camera outside of Tom Thumb, they're interviewing, what's his name? I forget his name. Alexander something, I forget. And a cop comes up and they say, hey, can you go inside and check the video? The cop walks in this Tom Thumb to go look at the video. That guy's body-worn camera didn't make it into Discovery.
Oh, nice.
You know, and we know that there was at least photos from Tom Thumb because during Travis's interview, Pitcher shows a picture of him. Isn't this you at Tom Thumb? Where's that photo?
Right.
Oh, okay. So, Steve, we were told Pitcher's phone and Phelps's phone malfunctioned somewhere in 2018, and all records were unattainable.
Didn't her phone reset itself Is
It's some bullshit.
something stupid that
Yeah,
phones don't do.
right. And there are phones in your cops, and there's records of stuff that is in the weird world of ones and zeros, right? Like, um, yeah. So, but okay. So the thing is, the videos from CVS, yeah. So supposedly the cameras, some of the cameras were malfunctioning. They collected video from the wrong day. There was a camera that the drive-through camera, which we did get some videos from, that, but nothing of value. We only got a few. Now I know that a bunch of cars pulled through. Because that was a perfect shot from CVS to the treehouse. If we had all that information, it would have been a whole different story. Um, you know, Travis was at CVS right before the crime. They did forget to delete that picture. But in the photos that we did get from CVS, there are missing times.
And it's bad. So, because like you said, CVS, they have to protect themselves because at least around here, they used to get robbed all the time. The pharmacies
Yeah.
did. So, and I actually, it's been a while. Gosh, I think it's back in 2015. I worked in the pharmacy at CVS, so I know there's stuff around all the time, and they could if you took a pill, they would know you took the pill because they were watching everything. And so it just,
So one
unless it,
thing The
go
one
ahead.
thing no, so this is my theory, and I think I talked to you a little bit about it before, but I don't think I mentioned this part. At one point when I had permission to talk to Paula, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't interviewing her. I was allowed to talk to her. Because she did not believe that it didn't cross her mind that she was under surveillance. Like that wasn't in her brain, right? And maybe I
Right.
don't think she was being surveilled, but um I started kind of going off like what happened and kind of this conspiracy theory stuff. And she goes, what's weird, Lauren, is like there were cops all over all of a sudden at CVS going in and out all day long at that time. And she thought, and somebody had told her that they had set up shop in the CVS. And
But you made a comment last week that there was a car parked in the CVS parking lot that looked like it had a laptop open, and people were kind of walking up and leaving. And is that what they didn't want anybody to see because there was another operation going on
I
and
believe
this
that
kind of screwed it
100%.
up?
Yeah, and I think that there were so many undercovers or other agencies walking in and out of the CVS that's why they disappeared. I
Yeah.
think they were trying to delete that whatever agency that was, whatever officers were involved. And there was another thing. Oh, I need to find this because it was the first time there's one thing. It's like you can watch a video over and over, and all of a sudden you hear something that you didn't hear before, and it's in uh, Mueller's body worn camera. There's an officer talking to her, and he's like, "You cleared the scene by yourself?" She's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." They're having this conversation because she did, which was weird too.
Right.
Where was everybody?
Yeah, they don't do that.
And he's like, good job. And he goes, I would have made that asshole do it. And he kind of points over the direction where I'm talking about where the truck was sitting. So him saying, I would have made that asshole do it made me think that it was a different agency that they weren't cool with or something, but he was a cop.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's fine. Protect your own, but don't throw somebody else under the bus in the meantime.
Carmen,
You
yes,
can
she was
you
there by
can
Mueller was there by herself. Okay, check this out too. Okay, another conspiracy theory. This is fun. This is the stuff I like to talk about so much. Um, so yes, so they go over. I mean, I don't know how long it is till another. The state attorney showed up before other cops showed up.
Wow.
I mean, the assistant state attorney. And I mean, it was a long time. And she did. She went through with the flashlight, and there's like 3 trailers. She cleared that entire property by herself. Okay. During that time, so she had interviewed Todd. Todd apparently walks over back to the treehouse, and you see Todd walk onto the property, get his bike or something, and she's like, hey, you can't, you're not supposed to be here. And he hands her a card and shows her something, and she goes, oh,
Oh, like I've
mhm.
already talked to somebody or something, or here's my pass, here's my note.
I
I
mean,
mean,
he
that's
was
weird because
on
what? And you don't take stuff out of a
oh,
crime scene.
what? Oh, he definitely did,
So
and
that's
in front of her.
right. Like, no.
And then, okay, also with Todd, he's walking around. He's crazy. He's going to the not Tom Thumb, probably Tom. Yes, he's like Weird Waldo in this thing, the night of the crime. He's in every scene. He's at the Hogfish Bar. He's at Tom Thumb. He's walking down the street. And so he ends up. The cop is like, "I need to talk to you," and he explains that he got cut. He's like, "Well, you're a victim. You got to go back. You got to talk." He's like, "Oh, I already talked to them." And then he goes back to the scene, and the 2 guys who were looking for Anathea um, come up to him, and he shows them a card. Again, the same thing. And they're like, "Yeah, but still, we need to talk to you," kind of thing.
That is so odd. I mean, what are they? Like, whose are they? Who gave it to them? There's so many.
So,
Never seen that before. I've never
no.
heard of that before. Well, I have a card, so
And I don't know. It's like if you're some kind of mega snitch, do you get like a gold star on your ID?
I don't know. Doesn't have to
Carmen,
talk to anybody.
Carmen, any opinion here?
I know.
So, oh, this is get out of jail free card, obviously.
Obviously. Crime scene covered in blood. Doesn't matter.
Oh,
Take your
oh,
bike and go.
he's
Bye.
during his interview. Okay, so they left this. So he actually does an interview with Matt Pitcher the night of the crime. We didn't get that for forever, that interview, because it's a good interview, right? But he's wearing the shirt that, because he'd gone back to this crime scene, because he had no shirt on at first. So he goes back to the crime scene, gets his shirt, puts it on, and there's blood on it. And Matt Pitcher goes, is that blood? And he goes, and they just keep going.
Well, maybe here's my card. I mean,
This is the thing. Just spit my water. This is the thing. You watch it and you're like, this is not. I mean, I know that police work is not like what you see on TV. Like, I'm smart enough to know that, right?
yes.
But this isn't police work. I mean,
No. It's like playing cops.
oh,
I mean,
what happened? What about this? What about the dark sweatshirt they found in the trash can outside of Tom Thumb? They're
where is
standing.
it? Do they have it? No. Of course they. I mean, I kind of knew the
Oh,
answer to that question when I asked it, but
it's Michael Alexander. I think that's his name. Michael Alexander. They're interviewing him. As they're interviewing him, and he's saying somebody tried to give him a bloody sweatshirt. And so this is interesting too, because he's like, yeah, this guy. And he kind of describes Travis. He says, let's just say he's a frequent flyer over there, if you know what I mean. And he kind of describes him with cropped short hair. I mean, he could have been describing somebody else, but and he got into a sedan or something like this. I don't know, something that makes no sense. But that sedan theory or sedan situation comes up. But as they're talking about this, the cops look in the trash can that they're standing right by, and there's a sweatshirt in there. And we never see that be collected
of course.
or hear anything about it. Now, if that, and remember, Rory, he walks back to the treehouse and he doesn't have blood he goes to Tom Thumb. He doesn't have blood all over him. You think
And
That
he
sweatshirt
was actively in it, for a nicer way to put it. But so how'd he get cleaned up so fast?
gets rid of the sweatshirt.
Yep, because he's covered.
He's got to have some blood on him. That sweatshirt has to have DNA, and it's gone.
And I guess they already have him, so they don't need it. I
No,
started a couple
I don't think that's what they
messages.
thought at all.
Let me put these up. Steve asked a couple of questions. So when Dunn was given access to the videos by Pitcher, they were destroyed. The videos that would exonerate Ty. Did his attorneys address the destruction of the videos in his pre-trial? Hang on. Having those destroyed is a due process issue. It should have been grounds raised for dismissal as well. I will have to go back and look at the dismissal motion to see if it was raised.
So it feels to me, Steve, that was never taken as seriously as it should have been. But they would always have come up with little, because we did extensive discovery requests, and at some point, Colleen, and it's in these emails and messages, Colleen Dunn is like, do we have this? They're asking for this. Where's this? And we just got answers like, oh, I didn't have my body worn camera on. We don't know who retrieved the Tom Thumb video. They respond.
But there's no chain of custody of somebody went to do this and then they got this and then they locked it in here.
All the chain of custody stuff that's bad. The chain of and that's in the that was one of the internal affairs investigations was about. So yeah, I guess Steve, that part of that evidence stuff was handled in the internal affairs investigation that discovered that there was like over 300 pieces of evidence mishandled. Now, I was never clear on what those 300 pieces specifically were, and if those were the things that, because the state just included the stupidest thing. They're like, Ty, in the motion, the state's recent motion for limine, that Ty kept talking about mishandled evidence. There was no mishandled evidence. We have proof that there's no mishandled evidence because here's the internal affairs investigator's report of evidence that there was no chain of custody and obviously was mishandled. Like, I don't even know what they're trying to say there.
Yes. And then even when the judge said it in the courtroom, of when Ty brought it up and said, this evidence was found under her desk or wherever it was found. Well, that doesn't mean it was mishandled. Well, yes, it does.
That's exactly what that means. You don't put DNA swabs under your desk for 3 weeks.
Right.
Bloody clothes.
I'm like, it absolutely means it was mishandled because all this stuff needs to be stored properly. And there's so much that needs to go on with this. We don't know who got in, who got out.
No, and this is the crazy thing is that the judge, this is the stuff where I really thought, okay, this is going to come to light. It's going to get in front of this judge and he's going to go, oh yeah, this is not, it's not okay that there's the chain of custody. It's just a professional thing to do.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a problem here, the chain of custody. Now here's this thing that the judge, he fucking got scared when Ty brought this up to him because he's like, my rights have been violated. Naeem Jackson. And he brought up the fact that, the whole Naeem Jackson thing, which is completely 100%, you can't even argue that it's not a violation, what happened there. And the judge goes, well, I didn't know this. That's a fucking lie. And he got all nervous because he knows what happened there. He tried to pull that shit in one of the hearings. Sorry, I'm getting a call. I was nervous.
No, that's fine. If it was him, I would be like, go. I'm going to send Steve a link and see if he wants to pop on. If he does, I don't know if he does or not. And if you're okay with that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
You forget what I was saying.
Yeah, no, I was going to be like, hey, that's Ty. Like,
it's more likely if I hear from him, it'll be during another interview later. But I have a feeling I'm not going to.
Well, and I don't know if you don't want to answer his question, you don't have to, but um, do you think they're not, or he just isn't calling you, or they're
Oh,
not letting them
I think he might have. I'm wondering if he already got picked up.
and go is on his way back to Florida?
Yeah.
Wow, from yesterday?
I know, I'm probably not right, but so I have to think that because otherwise I don't know why he's not calling.
Right.
But he did have court yesterday.
Yeah. So that man,
Was it
that would be
yesterday?
fast.
I'm so confused. What
Well, we
day?
watched it yesterday.
Yeah, that was yesterday. Sorry, I'm really losing my mind.
No, I get it.
Um,
Uh, um, I, but why drive him back? That's the thing, and I know it sounds really probably stupid, but I'm honestly worried that they're going to drive him back because they know he will talk the entire way. And I don't want him to say something
well,
because
it doesn't
he's
matter.
going to be angry, he's emotional, he's everything that you are, probably worse. And I just don't want him to say something then that, because, everything you say can and will be used against you.
It doesn't matter. They can just get somebody to say it. Say that he said
I
something.
know. I
It doesn't
know.
matter. There's no protection from that. I just think that happens at this point. That looks, I mean, I know that they don't give a fuck because they're doing shit that looks really bad left and right. I never suspected. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
So
can, yeah.
maybe.
So, yeah, I mean, it's, I know from before, like when he was in, so this is all new to me because Oregon's different than Florida, but I know when he had court dates in Florida, yeah, the timing, he wouldn't be available, obviously, because he was in transport. So, and so I know part of the day he was in transport, but I figure by the evening, um, he would be able to call, but maybe because of his status or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I wondered, is he in with everybody? Is he by
So,
himself?
so here's the other thing. Now that I'm thinking, so much has happened in my head. I'm just digesting some of the things he told me last time I spoke with him because when I went, so he got moved to a different facility. He was in like downtown Portland, and now he's in a different facility. It's still in Portland, but somewhere else. And when I went to that website, it says there are no visitors. And he's like, Lauren, I'm sitting here watching people
Come in.
on video visitation, and they're having visitors, and there's forms for me to fill out. So I probably should go to the jail today and see
I
what I
mean,
can.
they should at least be able to tell you if he's there. You are his
Well, yeah,
wife.
and I mean, I'm sure he's because it's. I didn't check this morning, but as of yesterday, it was listed that he was at that jail. So, I'm sure.
I remember her taking this trip. It was awful. So,
Yeah. So, anyways, I should go to do that because I also have to see if I could get the slip because
hey, Sal.
hey, Sal. When they picked him up at the airport, he had a backpack with his laptop,
I was going to ask you
and
where that
so
was.
it's at the airport, and
Good.
well, it was at the airport. I don't know if that's good because it's what I realized is it's with the police at the airport.
Oh. Well, I figured, okay, if it's at the airport with police or if it's with him with police.
I thought at first because I was confused how the events went down. I didn't, and I realized later that he was picked up by the airport police. And
Okay.
he told me that they didn't want him taking the bag to jail, so they put it in because, like, I've left my baggage at airports before, and it goes into the weird baggage place, and you can go there and pick it up, basically. So I thought it was there, but then I realized it's with the police, and it's probably not going to be that easy for me to obtain it without the documentation. And so I probably can go to the jail today and see if I can get that. I don't know if they would release it to me or not, and see what I can find out about Ty and see if I can visit him.
So Carmen wants to know why it wasn't sealed in his personal property.
They said that it was too much. They didn't want him going to jail with that much stuff.
Okay. Okay.
That's what he told me.
What do you all right. I mean, there's so many questions with that right there because what do you do with people oh, well, sorry, we only allow 1 bag at the jail, so you have 3 and
Check it. You got to check it. Check your
I
bags.
mean, yeah, you gotta pay for those, like, what do they do with it? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, you have to, okay. So here's the other thing. This is Portland and it's weird here. Everything's weird here.
I'll give you that. I've only seen it on TV.
No, it's I went to the jail. I went to the jail downtown to see if I could get on Ty's visitation list. And first of all, the entire building is boarded up and weird. You can't even figure out where the entrances are because that building was under attack for so long during the protests.
Didn't they try was that when they tried to set on fire?
Oh, everything. They did everything to that building. So it's all messed up. And then I finally found it's like this weird makeshift hallway I go down. It's outdoors, but it's like go through this weird place. And then there's these doors and it was closed. I didn't, jail's closed. It says due to understaffing.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, I wouldn't wanna
And
be a cop out there.
yet there's a girl with a ton of shit. Maybe she had too much stuff to go to jail. That might be it. Because she was sitting outside the jail, sleeping, and, like, she had the setup, man. She had, like, this really awesome, like, yoga mat padding and, but it was a homeless girl with all this stuff literally on the police department, sleeping. And I'm just like, "This is so Portland."
Yeah, yes. Well, it's kind of everywhere right now, but yes, you're right, that's Portland. And yeah, they're still talking nobody believes that about that's it was too much stuff. That
That's
it
interesting because I thought it was I mean, I thought see, I don't know, it's like I'm so paranoid about all this, and it's like and it's different agencies, completely different agencies, like, I just assumed they would want Ty's stuff.
I would too. And it I mean, how much stuff did he have? Where's his did they leave all his stuff there? Like, did they leave his what he was clothes or, whatever he had with him
No,
other than
he had, like, his phone is with him, and the tag for his property at the airport, um, he didn't tell me everything, but the backpack with the laptop is I have to deal with.
well, and you need to get that. And I agree with Crime Circus. In this situation, you cannot be too paranoid because these people are dangerous. And they're going to do whatever they want to do
Well,
because they've already shown that.
yeah, I mean, and that's, tripped up for reals.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's part of, like, even coming on here and talking, like, and it's working, right? They're trying to wear me down. I know this. Not to make it about me, but,
No,
I am
you're make it about whatever you want.
yeah, I've had many moments in this that are terrifying, and it's just I think I keep forgetting on some level. And I think Ty definitely made this mistake, thinking it's that they're not evil.
Right. Well,
And how could we forget? How could you forget that they're evil when they're doing this to him? But
yep.
you do because it's like it's not human almost to wrap your head around.
That's what I was just going to say because most of us and don't go just looking for the bad in people. So you guys are looking for the good. You
Oh, it's freaking pathological in me. Like, I mean, I hope this fucks up that part of me. I really do because I don't. It's very difficult to navigate.
Here I like what Megan said. My psychiatrist says it's not paranoid, it's hypervigilant. So there
Yes.
you go.
Oh yeah, that's me all day. But it's funny because yeah, I mean, I think maybe because I grew up in Philadelphia, and that is a experience that is different than maybe not different than most inner cities, but when I left Philadelphia when I was 18 and moved to California, moved to Santa Cruz, like I realized what a wall I had put up around myself just because of the how dangerous it is on the streets there, and all of a sudden I was in this like really nice town and like very low crime and like I didn't have to lock my door. I had all these weird ticks and habits of like, just you have to
Yep.
have to know You have to know how to look people in the eye when they come at you on the street. Like, just normal people you don't know. They might be crackheads and they might shank you for what you have. And like, you just learn a defensive posture and a way to read body language that I don't think could be taught unless you live in that kind of environment for a long time. And I don't know where I was going with that, but it's, it's I don't know. And despite all that and kind of being so defensive, I guess that's where I was going with the hypervigilance. It's like I learned to be hypervigilant about my surroundings and what people are doing. And Philadelphia is notoriously corrupt, so you don't trust the cops. I
Yep.
mean, it's just that's because my kids are always like, "Mom, you always assume the worst. You always think." Like, I was on my back deck the other day, and it overlooks a neighborhood, right? So I see this guy walking. So I have this weird trail behind my house, and this guy's weird. He's walking weirdly, and like stopping and looking at the floor and smoking something. He's obviously, to me, looks like he's doing drugs. So
Right.
I'm watching, and I watch him walk over a very slow period of time to this house, which oddly has the way the elevation is here. The roof of the part of the house is easily climbed onto from
I
the fence. I see this guy climbing up on a roof and scaling the roof into a window. And I'm like, I'm not seeing this. I'm crazy because I think everybody always thinks I blow things up, and I'm not really seeing this. I'm imagining this because I want to see the worst things and whatever. I don't know. So I call the cops because I'm like, well, what if something bad's happening? I'm watching it now. I'm gonna
right.
feel guilty for not calling the cops. So I called the cops, and it turned out that the guy lived there and he was locked out.
Okay. But still, was he not he should have been happy that somebody was watching out for his home.
Yeah, but I mean, I love
I would
him.
have I don't think you did
They're like,
anything
"Mom,"
wrong.
no, I didn't. No, and the cops, I said, "I'm so sorry." Like, the cops like, "No, you had every reason to do that."
Yeah.
But my kids are like, "Mom, why is this stuff happening to you?" And it's because you just have that hyper awareness and,
Yep.
you know
No, I get it. Carmen's kinda like that sometimes. I'm like that, but not as much as she is, and sometimes I'm like, "Sometimes people are just people, Carmen." It's okay, 'cause she'll be, if you our town is small, but we're next to where Indiana University is, and that town is just it has gone downhill over the last, I don't know, 10 years or so, maybe not even that long, and to where, um, I've lived here since 1986, never really saw anybody be unalived over in that town, and now it's like every day, and it's it's crazy. I know she worked there, and I know that I'm 13 miles from it. It's a 20-minute drive depending on traffic. And my little town still feels kind of isolated, but I know it has its issues, especially with drugs. So I do keep her in mind. I've already told, like Brandon and I, we've already talked about, if I said, Brandon, I tell myself this all the time so that I really hope if it ever, I hope it never happens to me. But if it does happen to me, that my brain will go to where I've told it to go, which is if anybody tries to, get in my car or tries to get me in my car, I'm going to crash. I'm going to run you into a building, and that's just going to be it, or I'm going to hit whatever's around me. And I just want to be that person that can not be like, okay, well, where are we going, because I know you won't hurt me. He's going to do horrible things to you and then he's going to kill you. So it but I agree with Sal, and I agree with Carmen. You do have to be aware of your surroundings. I don't think you're wrong for that. You probably, and Carmen, with where she was
Oh,
at,
yeah.
you guys are just it's I'm aware, but like you said, you're hyper vigilant. She's hyper vigilant. And it's, she doesn't live far from a prison there. She called me one
Like,
day
what?
and said, there's an inmate running through my backyard. And I was like, how do you know? She said, because it says inmate. I said, please go inside and lock your doors. And Wendy, I have it. I just don't carry it. because I don't. I'm not against anybody keep doing it. It's not, but
I got
it's
my
just not
concealed
me.
I got my concealed permit to carry, and my kids are like, "No, mom."
Yeah, I mean, that's kinda how I feel, like, I have it if I need it, but
I have
I don't even
English.
I it's in my purse, it's in my wallet even. I'm like, "Well, here's my permit, but there's nothing here. I don't have anything." And and I actually I haven't even practiced in forever. So, Carmen had my we just call it a pew pew on here for a long time. She used it and then it came back and I I well, I've not used it since then because she had it for so long.
Yeah, and that's honestly the only reason I don't right now is because I haven't practiced enough, and I don't they wouldn't be
I
responsible, I don't
yeah,
think.
and that's for me. It's like I'm not going to be that person that uses it irresponsibly
That's why I stopped
and
riding motorcycles because I knew I wasn't gonna practice enough to be safe.
to say, well, but, Gabby, it does. Cheyenne also has a slingshot, and I've seen videos of her using it, and she's pretty on target. I wouldn't go up against her with a slingshot. So I, I mean, they I think they can hurt you.
Definitely.
It's a oh, I thought it was a slingshot. Well, she should have a slingshot too.
It's a blow dart pew pew. Funny.
She was accurate with whatever she was doing. And I know. We flip flops. Well, Gabby, we all know if you're fighting, you're taking your shoes off. So,
I mean, the other thing, not to change the topic,
oh, you're fine. Absolutely.
about the evidence tampering, and it was Ty's kind of point, like, it's obvious, like, the videos being chopped up.
And they've never answered for that, right?
No.
So,
I
but
mean, and
that's
and
an
and
easy
and
answer.
I don't know if Steve's still on here, but,
I don't know. I sent him a link, but
the attorneys really never I bring stuff up like that, and they're just like, "It's just so weird." And it was never really pressed. And I think that's one of the things Ty was working on. He's like, "This is bullshit." They have people who run servers. They can figure out who had those videos, and that was early on. That was very early on that we got those files with the interview videos just chopped, especially
and
Ty.
I thought at first they did ties that way because they were just trying to mess with them. But they gave it. I thought they had probably given him everything, but they just wanted to make it annoying to watch because it was all chopped up in these little pieces. But then you guys said they're not even it's not all there. All his interview is not there. So then I'm like, well, okay, if they didn't even give you everything, if they chopped it up and gave you everything, fine, they're being jerks. If they chopped it up and didn't give you everything, then they're being shady. So
Well, maybe Carmen could answer this. I don't know how much she knows about the cameras in jail, like how they record. But you know, if you watch some of Ty's interview video, it will say like the file size. Well, it's I forget how this works. It'll be like, oh, it should be a 5-minute video, right? Because the video on your screen shows it's a 5-minute video, but the timestamp
it's off.
spans a longer period of time, and you can see where there's chops, like gaps. Now, is it possible that the camera just glitches?
All that here, and he might know the answer
That's
to this.
actually, I'm glad I didn't realize you're still here, Drip Drop. Thank you, because I know that that is probably your area of expertise. And have you noticed those like parts where the timestamp just doesn't match the size of the video or the time of the video, just like, or speeding up? You can go like it'll speed up like the second because it has a time going, and it'll be second really fast.
And I don't know the answer to this question. I know like trials I've watched where they have videos that they're only showing this time or this much of it, they'll say this is the timestamp is off, it says this time, but it was actually this time. I don't know how they get around that, but I have heard them say things like that. Um,
Well, here's the
but
other
this
thing.
is just weird.
And this is a thing, and I'm mad at myself because somewhere along the line I lost some of the original videos that we got. But we got these videos that, like, for example, Ty, it's the car cam where like Ty's sitting in the car, waiting, like after the search warrant execution, um, and being transported to the police station, and there's no audio, like the audio is like you can't hear anything. And then I got another version of it where, oh, Ty's talking. And he's sitting there talking to the cop saying, I can't believe that Rory would have done this. Like, and they obviously turned off the audio. In the first set of videos we had there, like so much audio was distorted or turned off. Like literally just there's no audio.
Well, and it's Ty. He's talking. I
Right.
mean,
No, he
he's
was
not
talking the whole
he
time.
he's talking. So to say there's no audio, I wouldn't believe that
No,
anyway.
crazy. It's crazy. And I've seen too, like where you can tell they superimposed timestamps over another timestamp, or stuff that's obvious.
And that's so much. Like, why go? That is a lot to go
And then
through.
I'm weird enough that I took all the videos, all the chopped up, like just in the gaps between the videos, because it'll be like because they should if the way it should be, even if it is broken up, like the Cosme video. I think we've originally got 5 of them, and they're broken up because it's too long for one file. So, but obviously it goes from this second, and the next one starts at the next second.
Right.
Well, with Ty's videos, there's so many gaps of minutes missing, in between the files, and you wouldn't notice because the numbers. Most people looking at the numbers, they just jumble. But I went through. I have a whole list showing every spot where where's the missing part, and maybe it's nothing was said weird, or maybe I don't know, but they're missing.
Well, and you would know that if you just had it all together.
Oh, I don't know. Trip Drop, you might have noticed this in the Rory interview. They cut how they fixed it? So they cut out part of it that we know they cut out, okay? But to fix that missing time, they replay part of the interview again. So because I watch it a lot, and then I'm like, didn't I just hear this earlier in this video? And I'd go back and like, that's the exact same thing. They plugged in a section that was already covered to cover up the missing parts. That's a lot of work.
It is, and that's what doesn't make sense.
That's the part that, like, honestly, that's a lot of work. What went into that, and I just don't get it because, like, I don't feel like it would have been worth it.
Exactly. Why? I mean, I don't know. I wish I had the answer for you.
No Drip Drop. That is straight up. I watched it, so I thought I was crazy because it was also these are information dumps. So when I would first watch it, it was like there's a lot, and so I thought I was just going loopy. And then I watched it over and over. Like, something is wrong here.
So, what'd she say? If that's how it worked, why doesn't it happen with the 13+ hour interrogations with other people? Good question.
Well, that's why I asked, because sometimes when I do watch interrogation videos, I do see the timestamp does weird things. Like it does sometimes, but not like this.
Right. And like I said, if you had it all, it'd be a lot easier to figure it out. Oh, okay, well, the timestamp's off because of, but you still would have everything.
Right.
But I've never seen that before with like, here's 3 seconds.
And I think what they're trying to do is like piece things together, like make it sound like he was saying things he didn't say. Is the only thing.
They've failed because now you just have everybody now knows this isn't everything. They never have answered why. Where is it?
Okay, in the original files, there's a folder. It's called Tom Thumb. There's no Tom Thumb anything in it, but it's called Tom Thumb. So I'm thinking it probably existed at some
Yeah.
point. And there has to be some electronic trail of it.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
here's another thing maybe somebody knows. So there's receipts. You get like there's a PDF receipt, like the digital receipt of all these files. And it says who's using it, and it says the state attorney's office. And so I don't know if that's weird or not. Like, I always wondered about that. Like, should the state attorney's office, and maybe it was just because they put the stuff on the disk to send it to the attorneys, and that's why it says it was being handled by the state attorney's office. And maybe I could send that to some of those. I don't think they're online anywhere, but I could send it to somebody to see if that's anything of interest there.
To me, even if it said state attorney's office, because that's who was working on it, it should say state attorney's office Colleen Dunn. Like, it should have somebody's name on there of who's actually touching it.
I don't think it doesn't seem to be the kind of document that would be that detailed. It would just be it's this organization or that organization.
Okay, gotcha.
I think it's something that I don't know how all that works, but
I don't either. But to me, it's just like if you want to keep everything in line, then you should be able to backtrack to this person did this at this time, or this person did that at that time, and not just and I don't know exactly what your kind of document you're talking about or file, just to say state attorney's office. How do you track to who? Whom? I never know if I'm using that right, but
I mean, obviously it was Colleen Dunn because she was on the case. But so yeah, my guess with those videos, like, and the mistakes, wrong day being picked up, like,
it's just too convenient.
Like, I mean, okay, so it looks like Danielle Malone might have been tasked with collecting some of the videos from places, and like Travis, she's not I'm sure she's a wonderful human and all that, but it's like
with awful fashion choices.
I figure and because she is, best buddies with Penny, either she really messed up, maybe, or she went through and tried to doctor these videos and did a horrible job of it. And then the terrifying thought is if Colleen Dunn did it, because that's insane.
And she's back. And I know I was probably very conspiracy theory to some people when I was like, this timing of her coming back and him getting arrested was too much for me. Maybe it's too out there, but it just is too much.
Interesting timing as well. And Steve had some really interesting thoughts about this. And he didn't even realize this had happened. But so Dennis Ward and Judge Morgan, and I think the county clerk or somebody, were all running for office, but were unopposed. And so just this last week, they were elected. There was an article about it. So, because I was like, well, they got to at least be on good behavior. Like, they're probably waiting for November. That's why Judge Morgan isn't ruling on anything. He wants to push this out so it doesn't affect his election. Well, he went unopposed. So he was in his seat, so safe and sound around this whole entire time. And so was Dennis Ward. Like, that all these things happened. Now, before Steve knew that, because Steve was under the impression I was that the election was going to happen in November. Judge Morgan's new to Key West. I mean, not to Key West, but he's not one of the old time Bubba guys there. And he feels like it looks to him that Morgan was tasked like, hey, we'll put you in this seat, but you got to take care of this guy. And
And
that will buy you into the club.
yeah, and I've listened to him, um, and I think you were in there. I know what you're talking about because like I I felt I felt snowed by this judge when
Okay,
Steve's
well,
like, okay, we shouldn't. This is why wasn't sure, I wasn't on board with it, and then all that,
no, I
and
don't
I
know.
was just
I
like,
think part of the reason people
dang
were
it.
scared is because of Ty's confidence in him. And I honestly, Ty got really mad at me because I was playing devil's advocate in one of the um, interviews. Maybe I was in chat. I don't know. I forget. I think it was in video because he was like, yeah, I can see you. They can see you rolling your eyes. But I was just like trying to get through to him. And I thought it would be easier publicly than between me and him privately that he's being overconfident in this system working for him just because a new judge is on. I kept telling him, I was like, he's done nothing for us to feel confident. Nothing other than threaten you, basically, you know.
But and yeah, and I think he's the judge sounds like very I'm a confident judge. He speaks, we're going to do this at 1 o'clock, this at 1:05, then 1:10, what blah blah blah. Nothing goes out of order. So he sounds
I
very by
like
the book,
I like
and I liked that too.
and I think that I was happy about him because of that, because I felt like he communicate with Ty better than Judge Jones, because Judge Jones could not handle Ty.
No.
And
I don't think Judge Jones handled a lot, really. I mean, he was done. And like you said, whether somebody was telling him like you need to get out of here, what have you, if there's no verdict, which he did, he was done. But you're right. Morgan handles Ty better. But I think it was a false sense of I
it
think I can trust him.
makes me sad,
Yeah.
because when
'Cause,
this happened, it was devastating for Ty. He's
oh,
like,
I'm sure.
he felt betrayed because
Yep.
he was feeling so optimistic. And I mean, and I don't blame him for that. Like, it's awesome that he had that optimism, but it's horrible when it gets pulled out from under you.
And I remember, him he was saying one time on here that, when this gets dismissed, and you're like, if this gets dismissed, like, and just kind of like hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. And I understand him being like, no, I really just want to hope for the best here. Cause
It's so weird because we changed somewhere along the line, because I was always the optimist for him and he was always the realist, in the situations, which, I don't know why that changed for him. I know why it changed for me. It was the motion to dismiss that prior to this going to trial. The judge's ruling was so bad that I knew nothing good was going to happen
it's
with
coming.
filing motions. Nothing. I mean, I was done. And then Ty, he just got blind, like tunnel vision on these motions that were going to save him. And I could see it. And I was like, oh, I just want to shake you. Like, and I want to say, like, this is not me, not supporting Ty.
No,
You know,
I get
he
it.
felt like I was like, I mean, he's like, when you say stuff like that, it looks like we're not on the same team and it's bad. I was like, I don't have any way other than be honest. And I really wanted to communicate that didn't think I think you were going down the wrong road with that by not being prepared for the worst here.
Right. And I agree with you on that. It feels like after I listened to Steve, then and then, you know, Ty gets arrested, and then Steve's talking about the judge. Like, I feel like they just led him down a path where they wanted him, and they got him. He trusted, and they got him. And I thought, well, Judge, you got me too. And yesterday, when you said in Steve's chat, I like this judge at Ty's hearing, I thought I can't say anything because I wanted to ask you why you like the judge, but
I
I
kind of
thought I don't know that I can like the judge
I
because
almost want to take back what I said because of exactly what you're saying. Like I haven't seen enough, but it's just, again, the same reason I kind of like Morgan is because like I'm in control of this conversation. I'm in control of the time here. And I did like the judge because he did listen to Ty and about the time issue. And I think he could have put, given up them a month to come get him. But he said, I'm going to set this for 2 weeks and I don't want you to get hung up here in
Yeah.
the system.
Which was good.
That's where I was coming from. But like, as I was typing it, I was like, I was a little premature.
I was going, I don't know that I can like this judge. I agree. I was kind of hoping he'd be like, let's go again. Because he had like, Ty, you have everything. Let's go. They don't have anything. And you're giving them time to come up with something.
I agree with both of you on that. And I think that unfortunately, I don't think Ty realizes this, but I think it's the fear of the end.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame him.
Because I've seen him self-sabotage himself many times when it looks like there's going to be there's an opportunity for this to be over, or we're getting to a point and he'll let's slow down. Now, I also shoot from the hip. I'm completely impatient and do stupid shit all the time because of it. So my nature is different. He's more methodical and thinks through everything. So I get it. I get that. But I felt like, let's go now because they are.
I was hoping
no witnesses right now.
Yep. Let's go. You know what they have. You've seen it. Prepare for that because they can't add anything. Because that's my biggest fear is they're going to find something. They're going to find DNA somewhere. Kathy said, "Oh no, not the dolphin sound." But they're going to come up with something because I watched them do it to other people, not even this particular county, but I will say Florida. And I'm like, if you go now, they don't have time. Just when they said it, and I'm like, okay, he just has to be ready. Just be ready. You've got this. But
no,
now
and I think that unfortunately, I think that time gave Ty more time. He thought he had more time, and he was spending a lot of time writing motions and not preparing. In my opinion, but I will say this, I've said it before, like, that's my opinion. I'm not Ty. And like you say, right. I don't know. I can't even really place myself in his shoes. So that's just,
I mean, just to a point, because he, I sent him a message, I think, when I found out that, there was a warrant out, and I didn't know if I would hear back from him because I didn't know where he was. I didn't know what status was, but it was so like, he wrote me back a nice email, and it was so sad because it was, if I don't ever get to talk to you again. And it was horrible.
So, okay. Just kind of on this topic of Ty, like avoiding what's inevitable, like just how hard that is for him. I booked him 4 separate flights in a 24-hour period.
Wow.
Because he would not leave his apartment on time for his flights. Now, I was very mad at him.
Right.
I mean, and most of them I could just, I could cancel and stuff, but he was still trying to write his motions and still like, and at one point I'm like, this is it. I'm not doing this again. This is it. And he's like, and I could hear it. He was terrified. Like, he's like, you know how hard this is going to be for me. And and I'm like, no, I don't, but you still have to get on this airplane. And it wasn't like he was trying to avoid it. He was planning on it, but not allowing himself to leave. Like
he was planning on it, but subconsciously delaying himself.
No, like he literally was telling he's like, I'm leaving right now. I'm like, Ty, there's no way you're going to get to the airport on time. I'm canceling the flight and we have to reschedule.
Yeah.
So, it just it's I'm sure he's been overwhelmed with the realities. And look, this is just not even that he's going back to jail. This is that he thinks they're going to hurt him.
And that's where
Yes.
That's where I was. I'm like, they're going to hurt him. And
I can't be on time. Oh, you don't know, because I went to bed, he was supposed to have a flight 6 a.m. and think I offered to take him, but I went to bed. I said, "Look, if you want me to, let me know." And he never let me know before I fell asleep. So I woke up in a panic because I missed taking him. And he had even texted me, "I'd still like you to take me." But I slept, so I felt horrible, right? I'm like, "Oh my God." But he's a big boy, he can take an Uber. He freaking contacts me like 4 hours later. "Oh yeah, no, I didn't make it."
I so I
I
if you don't laugh about it, what do you do with
No,
it? But
I was so mad that I just because then he got on the phone and he just starts talking to me. I'm like, "You have to shut up for a second. Wait, I'm mad, okay?" And I just start laughing because it's like, there's no point. But anyways,
I
um,
don't I don't know that yeah, I don't know,
no,
could he
he
do
never
it?
I don't
Mm,
he really is not trying to avoid this.
yeah,
I think what I'm
and
saying, this is all like subconscious stuff, like for him. I don't like he never, I'll tell you, never once in any of this ever considered not facing it like a man. Even
and
up to now, like,
yeah, here I come, I'm coming and I I believe you, I agree with you. He's not because if he wanted to run, he wouldn't be here. He would have been gone a long, long time ago.
that's one of the first reasons I knew Ty did not do this crime, is because if he did, he would have disappeared immediately into the mangroves and never be seen again. You know, I think if he did something that horrible and he knew he did it, I think he would, in my opinion, is because he's very comfortable in that area, and it's very hard if somebody wants to disappear, they'll disappear, and
Right.
he's a pirate. He would disappear. And the fact that he was still around, I was like, he didn't do this.
Well, and he even called it a scumbag crime. It's just it's
It's not,
not something he would do.
it's not something he would do. Um, not even close. Like, he's not that guy. He's
Mm-mm.
just so not that person. Like, he would. I just.
It's like when they I
Yeah.
last week when we were talking, and I said, "I don't see him ever threatening a pregnant woman. Give me a break." He just would not do that.
No, he didn't like her, and she didn't like him. But like, she was pregnant, and during the hurricane, he was still running around trying to find her prenatal vitamins and toilet paper. And he's always been a person that's helping people. I'm not saying he's a saint, anything like
Who
that,
is?
right? But he did have a job. It's not like he was hurting for money.
Right.
I mean,
It's just the way he lived his lifestyle. Yeah, Gabby, I'll
I think
I
it's your
was
turn
full
to
of
read, though.
it is. It's just because he had this lifestyle that not many of us have. And most of us think if you're living that lifestyle, you're doing drugs, you're stealing, whatever you have to do to survive, not working a job, you know, and he was opposite of that stuff. And once you get a hold of that in your mind, at least for me, it just changes how everything. It changes how I view everything because why would he even go commit the crime? He just would not. He just wouldn't. So I I don't know. There's just so many things that they have just never done, and they've done so many things that I can't. It's unbelievable. And like you said, it makes you sound crazy when you try to talk to somebody about it. Unless you're talking to people that agree with you, it makes you sound insane. It makes you sound like you're blind. Well, you like this guy, so you don't think he would do anything. You married him, so you don't think he would do anything.
No, I'm not. I
It's
mean,
like,
and
and
I'm a very critical thinker. It's like I could, and I I'm not blinded by people's actions.
Yeah, well, and it's not like you're not one of these women who go latch on to some famous inmate or serial killer or whatever. For whatever reason they do it, I don't know because I don't understand it. You know him. You grew up with him. So that's so yeah, that to me that says a lot because you're not just going, well, I just want the fame of being Ty Tucker's wife.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't a thing ever, okay?
No, I get that 100%. Nope, I hear you loud and clear on that one. And Gabby said you were already famous, so
Oh, please.
all right, so this is Keys News in Florida. This isn't the slimy news site, right? Where the guy was working that would always report with the
No.
chickens. Okay.
No, and the weird thing is, Tim O'Hara has been a pretty good reporter for us. There was an article written prior to this by the Miami Herald, and that um, reporter has not always, been very favorable. And it's interesting because the recent one she wrote, I felt was pretty favorable towards Ty. And this guy, according to Ty, they have had recent correspondence, and he felt like this guy knows what's up. He knows he's innocent. He's like he felt like they were on really good terms. I'm not saying he's reporting badly per se. I think what's bad about this is what the quotes he got from
Ward. Is it
Right.
Ward? All right, I don't know if I can make that big enough for me there. Okay. Authorities remanded into custody treehouse murder suspect Franklin Ty Tucker on a $3.1 million bond late last week at an Oregon airport after he failed to take a drug and alcohol screening at his scheduled time. Authorities reportedly took Tucker into custody on Friday, May 3rd, in the smoking section of Portland International Airport in Oregon, Monroe County State Attorney Dennis Ward said. Judge James Morgan III had issued a bench warrant for Tucker to be taken into custody after he failed to submit to the screening at the scheduled time, Ward said. A judge in Oregon will have to hold an extradition hearing where Tucker would most likely agree to be transported to Monroe County. He will be taken cross country in a transport van where he would be in shackles or secured in some way, Ward said. Secured in some way. What the hell does that mean? Because there's a lot of people that I don't want to ever say that about anybody because I don't trust him. Tucker admitted he did not do the drug and alcohol screening at the scheduled time, but tried to, and the agency conducting the screening was experiencing computer-related problems, and he had to return at another time, he told the Key Citizen before being taken into custody on Friday. He did eventually take the test, he said. He was in contact with his pretrial services case manager about the issues, he said. Tucker planned to fly to Key West to resolve the issue. As he told the Key Citizen, he wanted to file a motion to quash the violation and keep the current roughly $70,000 bail. Tucker was initially bonded out of jail on a roughly $2 million bond, but later had the bond reduced. Monroe County Sheriff's Office deputies arrested Rory Detroit Wilson, arrested Tucker, Rory Detroit Wilson, and John Travis Johnson in the November 17th, 2017 robbery of Paula Belmont. Is it Belmonte or Belmont?
Belmont.
Belmont. And murder of Matthew Bonnet in a building known as the Treehouse. If found guilty, Tucker could face life in prison. Wilson has been convicted and sentenced in the case, and Johnson accepted a plea deal in which he received time served in jail while awaiting trial in exchange for his cooperation in the case and testimony on behalf of the state. A jury in the Treehouse murder and robbery of Tucker could not reach a unanimous verdict in the case on January 25th, and the case will be retried later this year. Tucker has been under house arrest and is it
Clackamas.
Clackamas? Oregon, since initially posting a $2 million cash bond in 2019. Shortly after, Tucker married millionaire CrossFit co founder Lauren Jenai. They separated a year later and have been living apart since. The bond was eventually released to 70,000. Does he mean reduced?
Yeah.
The bond was eventually reduced to 70,000. This is not the first time Tucker has violated his terms of pretrial services arrangement. What did he write? This is not the first time Tucker has violated the terms of his pretrial service arrangement. Okay,
Yeah.
that's weird. Last month, Judge Mark Jones, who oversaw Tucker's first trial, was informed by pretrial services that Tucker failed to pass a routine urinalysis test according to court records. In a memo obtained and reviewed by the key citizen, Joan was informed that Tucker tested positive for alcohol on October 16th. The judge was notified on October 26th and instructed pretrial services to cancel the defendant and adjust their testing schedule in a November 2nd response, which seems, okay, fine, we'll give him another try.
Right. I mean, I think that's a much worse violation than being late, let's just say.
Is that the end of it?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
that's the thing. It's like, it makes no sense. It does. It just really comes off as petty. And I mean, I don't think that these violations are meant to do what they're doing to Ty.
I don't think so. Because like you said, there should be a hearing. There really hasn't. I mean, I guess there will be when he gets back to Florida. There'll be a hearing. Maybe. I mean, I would assume, but I don't assume anything with these people. I was trying to think. There was something else in there. Oh, did he get something? Because I think Judge Morgan talked about it. In February, was there? Is that what he said that he had signed a warrant for, and that was the ink was dry on that, and that was his ankle monitor. The batteries died, or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. I don't. So nothing happened there, but he had the warrant ready. Is what he was saying, basically, right?
Yeah. And the only reason he didn't pursue it is because he decided to not do anything in this case until he was sure he was going to be the judge.
And then now, listening to what Steve said, was that a big setup for Ty to waive the speedy trial thing?
I think so. I feel like this is all very set up.
It's very calculated, I think.
Yeah, I think that I think we all were kind of taken aback at how Judge Morgan handled that warrant. I gotta go.
All right. Thank you, Lauren.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Sorry to end that abruptly, but I had told her if he came on, then that's what we were doing. I don't know if she. All right. Okay. So that's just me now. Sorry. I guess I hope so. I hope so, Megan. I hope that's what that meant. I really do. I want her to talk to him. I want her to be able to get a little bit of peace of mind. Get a little, hopefully he can give her a little bit of peace of mind there that he's okay, that he's doing okay, because this would be rough. Yeah. Hey, Abby. Or Abby. Why do I do that to you? Gabby. Wendy, I was going to actually do that one. And then when I saw I read about it, and then I saw there was video of the actual incident, I just needed a break from parents being horrible to children. So I didn't, and then I just keep reading about it every day. Megan, I see you've brought up the Delphi case quite a bit. So that's in my area. And I don't know how else to say it, but it's an absolute shit show. And I noticed yesterday, after his hearing, that they're using a different mugshot. One of the news stations around here is using a different mugshot of Richard Allen. And so I'm wondering what's playing into that. Wayne, thank you so much for joining us again. And hopefully we'll get to talk to her again and get an update of what's going on. And I think it's evening for you there. So enjoy your evening. But thank you for coming to watch the stream. Appreciate it. I don't, and I can't, Wendy, I can't, I haven't watched any of it. I just watched videos. Or I didn't watch the video. I didn't want to watch the video. Check that. Um, Reading about it was bad enough, and I didn't want to watch it. Okay. I haven't, it is so bad. It is, to me, that whole situation is so messed up. That judge is so biased. The media is probably going to carry her water and the prosecutor's water for them. So I didn't look to see that was his newest one because he looks so different, and I couldn't figure out if it was his. It didn't look like his original one. Didn't look like the one they usually use that he has lost all the weight in. But he still looks very, very different. And the guy is, I hope, gets a good jury. I hope his defense is allowed to put on a defense, because now they're fighting about whether they can bring certain things in, and the judge doesn't ever rule their way, as far as I can see. And honestly, I really am only reading the headlines. Yeah, they did get a small win at the state Supreme Court level here, but she's still on the case. She's still the judge. That's probably true. I didn't think about that. Christine, I think we are all worried about Ty. Um, but I think he will be okay. And like I said yesterday, and I said to Lauren, and she agrees, I think on some level, that um, this might be the best thing, because it should force him to get attorneys, and he needs them to bring this case home, and hopefully we get a favorable outcome. So, but I think we're all worried about him. I'm sure he has been through the ringer emotionally, and but he'll pull out of it. The corruption in Ty's case is parallel to what is happening to Karen Reed. Don't understand why people are still so skeptical. I can say words, I promise. Skeptical. I won't say that one, though, about this happening all the time. And hello to D. Newell. Thank you for being here. And I agree with you. I can answer that, because if this person ever listens to any of my streams, she's going to be like, are you seriously bringing up this again? But I had a comment a while back about, and the person said, the cops don't arrest people unless they're guilty. Prosecutors don't charge people unless they're guilty. So basically, if you're arrested, you're guilty. Cops, you go to trial, you're guilty. And because I don't believe that, they asked me if I loved criminals. So I did not answer. And I don't necessarily love criminals, but I do want a fair trial for everyone. I say it on here all the time. If the least of us can't get a fair trial, the best of us can't get a fair trial. And if you think stuff like this can't happen to you, you're wrong. It can happen to any one of us at any time. And that should scare everyone. And I think the state counts on that mentality as well. That, well, we brought them. We wouldn't bring them if we didn't have the evidence. Well, they don't have any here. And the little bit I have seen of Karen Reed and the stuff I had listened to before about that trial, that's scary. That is some scary stuff. Cabby, of course. If you only have one tooth, not only are you guilty, you're probably on drugs. You know, don't take into account anybody's lifestyle, or if they have, maybe they just don't have good dental care. Maybe they never did have good dental care. It, I think it is to, on some levels, D, it is the back the blue tribalism. And in her case, for sure. Um, I think some people, this is only my opinion, obviously, but because I had kind of this opinion that, well, they're on trial for a reason. But once I started actually watching trials and watching what was happening and seeing what was going on, my mind was changed very, very quickly to, you really have to watch you have to watch this like you're supposed to, from beginning to end, and you have to make sure that everybody is following all the steps and putting all the pieces together. And if they don't fit, even if you think the guy or the woman, I'm saying guy is a general sense, is um the worst person on earth, if they don't have the evidence, they don't have the evidence, and it doesn't really matter if you like the guy or you don't like the guy. It just, that doesn't matter. So I have changed my thought process on a lot of this stuff. I'm hoping to help. I'm not trying to get everybody to think like me. I don't need that, but I'm hoping I can help other people to see it differently, to see it that everybody brought to trial is not guilty, and they're human and they screw up because they're human, and they get tunnel vision. They do everything we do on a normal basis in everyday life. They just have the power to lock somebody up, or in some cases take their lives. And it's scary. Or like they were talking about earlier in the stream, they have the badge, so they have the power. Absolutely. Absolutely true. People don't consider the evidence, or I think they want it to fit so much to make that person guilty that they give it their own slant so that it does, if that makes sense. In their own mind, they'll be like, oh, well, maybe this is really what they're saying, and that person just didn't understand, or what have you. But they'll make it fit. They'll smash that puzzle piece in there, so to speak, to make it, make that corner fit. And it's scary. And I'm glad I have changed my thought process. Um, I'm hoping that I'm helping others. I've changed I've changed a lot of my thought process through this whole thing, just having my own stream of, I hold prosecutors to a really high standard because, one, they have the burden of proof, but they have somebody's life in their hand. And but I was kind of to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, all these prosecutors are just kind of gross and slimy. There are good prosecutors out there. There are good defense attorneys out there. And I really have started, I try to approach everyone on an equal playing field. And now you guys convince me. That's your job. And Wendy, I didn't grow up in a blue world. Um, I live in a small town, so I've known the last 2 sheriffs. I've known the current sheriff grew up with my husband's stepbrother, like, used to play basketball at their house. So you know 'em, so you know, I agree with you. There are good out there and there's bad because there's anywhere there's humans involved, there's good and bad in anything. I don't care what it is. That's just the way that it is. I mean, you can go from the fast food server all the way up to a neurosurgeon or whatever, and it you've got good and bad in everything. Yeah, and the ironic thing about defense attorneys is a lot of them used to be prosecutors. If you listen to judges, prosecutor, defense attorney, judge. So a lot of times when people don't like or don't like the defense attorney, I'm like, well, might have been a prosecutor. Would you like him if he was on the other side, or would you think he was just as slimy? Well, you missed Lauren going away. She got a call. We're hoping it was from Ty. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing next. We have 2 sentencings coming up tomorrow. I'm going to try to get on. I know it will be over by then, but I cannot do it during the day when it's on. Um, Adam Montgomery is being sentenced tomorrow, I believe, at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to try to do that tomorrow night, unless it's like 6 hours long. I don't think it will be. And then Friday, we have the Haley Brown one, which I might do Monday. I need to keep an eye on that because I'm not sure how that judge does his sentencing. So I need to keep an eye on that one Friday morning. It's supposed to start at 9. So if we can do it, we'll do it. If not, we'll do something else. I may go through all these things that I printed out from Ty's stuff today online and um, maybe we'll go over some of that because I'm telling just I know it's like I was telling Lauren, I know you guys have told me and we've talked about it 100 times, but man, when you see it in writing, it blows your mind that people would say things that they've said. Well, you Carmen, I didn't say don't pump gas at night anywhere. I said don't pump gas at night in Houston. Yeah, I yes, and I'm not sure where I stand on Morgan. I'm not happy with him, but I honestly, in my mind, am wondering if I'm blaming him for Ty's actions or somebody else's actions. I'm not sure. It just seemed like an overreaction. So I'm not sure. Uh, I'm not sure. And apparently I missed it. If you guys, and Steve, nice that you are here. Lauren had to go. I don't know if you heard. I think Ty called her, so she hurried up and hopped off. Um, and Lauren and I talked about this. That Jones started off pretty. I thought he started off pretty fair in that trial. He just absolutely tanked. He came in every day. It was like uh, he was done every day. The longer that trial went on, he was done, and I he was more targeted on Ty, but I do think he still kind of targeted Mansfield every once in a while with his size and his exasperation. I was going to tell them, Carmen. So yesterday I was watching Judge Fleischer in Harris County, Texas, which is Houston. Judge Fleischer, if you saw him, he's been on Law Talk with Mike a lot. He is awesome. He was looking for this attorney And he even called the attorney's office and got his assistant and was like, "Where is he? He's supposed to be here." And you could hear the panic in her voice of, "I don't know." And she says, "I will call him right now and have him call you." Well, he did not call, but he walked into court and he starts telling the judge and the other attorney, and I don't know which, I think he was a defense attorney. So 5 p.m. in Houston, which is daylight right now everywhere, he gets carjacked. And the judge is like, he's flabbergasted. He's sitting there. You can't see the attorney that's telling the story, but you can see the other two. You can see the judge and him, and he is just, "Are you kidding me? 5 p.m. and like it's daylight time. What happened?" And the guy was like, he walked up to my car, and I don't know what kind of car it was, but took my car. And he said he had an air tag in it. So he was tracking it with his watch, because I assume his phone was in the car as well. They found the car within 2 hours, which the judge was amazed by. And so then I think this guy was late because he was dealing with the guy that stole his car. The guy that carjacked him was probably having an oh crap moment when he realized he stole an attorney's car. And then that's probably where he was going to end up in with that attorney in a courtroom. But this guy said, so Carmen she works in Houston. She doesn't live in Houston. So I was telling her yesterday, hey, this guy got carjacked at 5 p.m. That's about the time she's getting off work. Also, what he also said was, don't ever pump gas at night in Houston. So I'm like, please don't get gas at night. And please be careful when you're leaving. Well, you should always be careful, but you know, don't pump gas. And she goes, I should probably stop pumping gas at 2 a.m. Like, yeah, absolutely stop pumping gas at 2 a.m., period. But it was just kind of crazy to hear people that are putting people away for doing things that happened to this guy talk about what happened to that guy. I'm glad he got his car back. I really kind of was like, what kind of car are you driving? Because I like cars. But a good car was a sports car. I try. I do try to be a good mom. I did. I texted, so I don't know if she got my stern mom voice through the text or not, but it was there. But then later, I text her something and she said, thank you. And I said, no, thank you. And she said, do I hear attitude in that? I'm like, why? Why would you hear attitude in that? I meant like, no, thank you. Weirdo. All right, guys. I don't have anything else. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Gabby, for sharing all the links. I appreciate that. To all the other pages, and did you get the one for Christine's Give Send Go or whatever that is? Okay, thank you. I do agree. That was a stern warning from the judge. I do think that, Dee. Becca, I hope you're feeling better. And I am gonna go do some stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I will see you guys all back here tomorrow night. I believe I'll put it up if I am able to do that. If not, we'll figure it out. But I will definitely be here Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, which is my normal time. And um, we'll do something. We'll do something. Don't know yet. So it was nice to meet you too, Dee. Thank you for being here. Hopefully we see you back. Megan, thank you for being here as well. Everybody, just thank you. And we'll do it all again. So have a good rest of your day, and I will see you guys all soon.